Not sure how this is gonna go. Right, so got my little song. Before I get into the explanation, I'm working on it. I feel like sharing. I keep thinking like I'm gonna die tomorrow, so I've got to get the information out. When like I also recognize that if I'm lucky, there'll be one person ever who gets any of what I'm saying. I recognize that. If I'm lucky. If I'm super blessed, maybe more. But if I'm lucky, so today I was serendipitously just like humming in my car, and I do that pretty much every day, And then today, some days I record, some days I don't, but it's always just these simple little melodies, and I like them. And this one I liked enough, I was tooling around on my guitar with it a little bit, and I'm not very good on my guitar, but I can do a couple things. But anyway, sometimes there's these series of super simple tones, and from what happened back around my birthday, when the whole COVID thing was coming up, and I made that one El Greco video there. Ever since then, like, I wouldn't say things have taken a different path. It's just, I guess I reached an inflection point of sorts. Not to say things still don't go like this, but things went like this, and now they go like this. But at least in a certain sense, because my physicality it's like the portrait of Dorian Gray, except for I'm ugly on both sides. Yeah, like talked before about like quote unquote prophesizing, false prophesizing, and people poo it, but obviously there's an old, people see, that's the thing, like people are like this side or this side, but it really is both sides, and coming up with a way where it really all makes sense, because there's all the hallucinogen stuff, and if you've taken them, you know about it, but you also know that you're helpless, like an infant, a lot of the time. I mean, you're not like aware. You're not necessarily seeing everything. You're seeing more in a certain area of what's there, but you're not like seeing everything. You're not completely aware. Your mind's not totally awake, which is the goal, and is something different. What those things do is show you how much more there is to explore. But anyway, art's similar. All of the arts are similar, but for good or bad, I'm influenced by a lot of things. And oh yeah, like 2 weeks ago, I had a dream, and a lot of the times my dreams, when I'm paying attention, especially my twilight dreams, like the dreams I have in the morning tend to quote unquote prophesize, symbolically, synchronistically prophesize my day. It's very rare that something steps outside of my day, And there's other types of dreams, especially like my weekend midday dreams when I have them, which is like maybe once every other week or once every 3 weeks. I'll have a midday weekend nap. In the 1 1 hour to 3 hour vicinity, and somewhere toward the beginning or end of that nap, then sometimes I have different types of dreams. Sometimes it's as though, and this is after years of practice, and I still don't have any idea what I'm doing, but somehow through paying attention, like my most recent one, it was as if I was peering around me, and it emerged from that purple color inside the blackness, which has been going on for a while now. But then it started to open up, and I could see some of the surfaces in this room up close, just for a few moments, but not just a flash. It was, what's to that? That was last week. The week before, when I had a dream, remember, it was a little peculiar and it was kind of intense, and it stuck out because there was a certain nefariousness to it. And all I remember is all kinds of things happened in the dream before and after, well, not after, but before. And then there was one point where I saw this dude who had a specific face. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said something to him where, like, blah 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 about my dad, words go in, consequences come out. And to me, when I was saying it, it was as if I was saying words go in his ears and consequences come out his mouth. But that's not what I said. But it was clear that's what I said. And it was words go in, consequences come out. And that guy who I was talking to, who was like on a couch, just kind of sitting there, or a chair or whatever, but it was like flat, face to face, and he said, "I like that. I'm gonna use it." And then I remember being like, I woke up the next day and I was like, that's not my favorite dream. Well, anyway, a week later, last week, what happens? I find Hamilton, the musical. I think I'd heard about it before, and I'd certainly been tuned on to Hamilton before, Hamiltonian credit system. But I didn't know much about him. And then last weekend, I just binge watched Hamilton. I came upon it, and it was just like, Alexander Hamilton. And it was like, whoa. And just like the musical aspect and the story and the passion and the history and what I'm beginning to understand about the truth of the underground railroad as it relates to our founding fathers, which is kind of in discord with what's happening in the world right now. You know, and when actually, yeah, I had come upon Hamilton in the past while looking at like some Obama videos where the cast at the Obama thing way back, there was an Obama thing, and he had the cast of Hamilton, so that's all tied up with the story, and that's all tied up with the story and underground railroad and the first black president and all this kind of stuff, you know. Super inspiring, powerful, but when you really start digging into it, digging, it's like big time blam, you know. But then that musical and like the passion of that, which I never would have thought was like so. Also reminds me of the Brady Bunch when Peter Brady played Benedict Arnold a little bit. And totally reminds me of one of my favorite movies of all time, Hamlet 2. Gotta Google it. If you haven't seen it, you gotta buy the DVD. You can do the Hulu or the Netflix or whatever. My personal choice, I'd rather pay a premium and buy it on YouTube. Why? Because if I lose everything, I'm gambling on YouTube. We think all this shit, all these wires, all this memory, that's physical stuff. It's not just the cloud. There's stuff out there that has it. I'm betting on YouTube. At least for now. But well, Spotify, symbolically that's nice. But I'm still betting on YouTube. Yeah, so anyway, the dude in my dream from a week before was the guy who wrote, like, his face, the whole thing, just the shape of the face, everything. Was that guy. The guy who wrote Hamilton. Not when he gave his first initial, like the first time he did the rap at the White House with the short hair, not that one. The long hair, the dude who plays Hamilton. Like that character. That was the guy I saw. That same day, after I'd watched all that shit, my dad comes to my door, wailing on it, while I'm having my dream, and I'm kind of laying down sleeping in my skivvies. Wham, 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 on my door. Get up, hold on a minute, I don't know who it is. One time in the middle of the night, it was the cops, because they were looking for some dude. Sometimes my mom does that. Thought it might be my landlord, might be my neighbor. Had a couple neighbors in the past who did that. I didn't know. Open the door. You answered your phone? Looked at your phone? Well, no, I, had a couple beers and I was just kinda... Anyway, it was my dad. My mom recently fell down the stairs and, well, it's a joke but not a joke. Broke her neck. She fractured some vertebrae in her neck. Like a couple weeks back, and then last weekend she had, I guess, that's it. She had a stroke, couple strokes, must have been like mini strokes or something. And we just had food like the day before. We had some Chinese food together. But he was obviously mad that I hadn't got back to him. And she was in the hospital and stuff. But then I was like, wow, if we gotta go to the hospital, you're gonna have to drive me. I've had a couple beers, I can't drive. It's like, well, how much you been drinking? And I was like, too much, And I told him, and had a couple bottles of booze out, and he was like, and then it became something else. Rightfully. Yeah, I cried my eyes out. And he was cool about it. Gave me a big hug. Me and my dad don't, always hug so much. Gave me a big hug and showed me love and stuff, and it's just like, basically he was trying to be encouraging. Some of it too was like, you gotta clean this shit up. You gotta, do this, do that. It's like, I know, blah, 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 but I get defensive. Maybe not as much as I used to be. And I don't necessarily lie to my folks like I did when I was a kid, but you get used to being like that too, It just becomes a habit. Anyway, it was just interesting that a week before I had a dream that I couldn't make sense of until a week later, when it's like the dude who I didn't know who it was on the couch was the dude I saw in the video. And I was talking about my pops, and there was this nefariousness to it, which corresponded to the nefariousness of, like, one way of looking at it would be like, your dad yelling at you. like, get off my back, man. So there's that. That's one side of the coin. And then the other side of the coin is like a concerned father being like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? And then that little delinquent child inside being like, I'm doing what I want. Because I want to. Don't tell me what to do. You know. And you could say, well, that's a poetic interpretation. You're right. It is. And it's the correct poetic interpretation. Or, you know, it's a correspondent. Anyway, yeah, now I'm thinking all these things with the Aesop and the Agnes, right? So that's where this is really all going to, because that's what it's all about. The underground railroad. How far back in time does it go, and how far underground? So for me, anything I touch, it's kind of like that old song from Saturday mornings. Whatever it is, what is it? The world looks mighty good to me, 'cause Tootsie Rolls are all I see. Whatever it is I think I see becomes a Tootsie Roll to me. Well, for me, it's all, everything I see is Wild Carrot, Queen Anne's Lace, Harriet Tubman, St. Agnes, and I just got this. Well, I mentioned it on a video I made yesterday, but I haven't posted it yet. Maybe I'll post it with this one, maybe I'll post it before this one, maybe I'll post it after this one. I don't know, maybe I'll never post it, but I was watching, Jonathan Strange last night, and he said agonies, like agonies, like agony, agonies. And then phonetically, that reminded me of Agnes, and if you say A-G, ag, N-E, Z. Runs up pretty good. And it certainly corresponds to the first time I ever said it, and it just came out spontaneously, but it's a kind of good quote as they go. I think that's a fair critique. St. Agnes's is the key to the Sacred Heart. Agony. And I had been through some fucking agony, man. Can't even describe it. Strange. It was strange. But, it's not the time for that. It's like stacked visions, like visions inside of visions, man. But it wasn't just visions. It's like the story. Now everything is just magnetized to it in a certain way. So I hope it's not just like this magnetic mass where just everything sticks to this story, but like more like those beautiful pictures where the filings fill out a form. I'm trying to fill out a form. It's a beautiful form. So yeah, I had this hum. I'll put it in somewhere. It's not super great, but I like the story of the progression. So now what I'm thinking is Agnes, right? She grew her hair down. I've talked about it before. You'd have to reference a lot of hours of shit to see what I said about it. Before she gets raped, she grows all her hair down. Now, what if she lived? What if she did live? What if St. Agnes didn't die? What if someone was there to help her? What if Aesop was waiting in the wings? And then St. Agnes reminds me of Rapunzel. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. Beastie Boys. So I can climb up and get into your underwear. Underwear. Underground. So Rapunzel. And then I've talked about Raphael. People talk about the Da Vinci Code. Never mind the Michelangelo Code. All that shit. Everything's a motherfucking code, man. Everything's a code. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. What is it? No use crying over spilt milk in Weena Wearing Toss. Milk spills. It's kind of like, I used to have a saying, I'm a painter now, but I used to sell paint. I used to have a saying, because sometimes you'd spill paint. Sell paint? I used to have a saying, sell paint, spill paint. That was the way I dealt with it when it happened. Either as an employee, or when I was briefly a boss. Completely underqualified. So, I'm familiar with people being promoted beyond their level of expertise. I know it happens in the world because it happened to me. Unbelievably so. I can't balance my checkbook. Never mind $1 million worth of fucking paint. So yeah, here's the chain of connections, in case anybody's following along. I'm a terrible addict. It's bad. Yeah, here's the chain of connections. St. Agnes, hair. Hair, Age of Aquarius, hair, Heraclitus, hair, Acletus, H-E-R, her. St. Agnes, Rapunzel. Rapunzel, R-A-P, rap. Raphael, R-A-P, rap. And a tail and an onion. Layers of the story. Russian dolls. Rap. Put. Rape. To take. Rape. Agnes. What if Agnes resurrected and no one was there to tell the story because she didn't have disciples? Because she was just a little fucking girl. By the time, Jesus was a boy, but if he didn't grow to be a man and get his disciples, his apostles, there never would have been anybody to tell his story. Right? It was his disciples who wrote his story. Only a few of them, 4 of them. What if she resurrected and there was no one there to tell her story? She'd be free to roam around the world and make her own. St. Agnes, Rapunzel, Raphael, the Raphael Code. If this is the painting of the great philosophers and Raphael is over here next to Zoroaster, but then there's that other woman in this region Never mind what's going on in the actual picture. Superimpose that other picture of the School of Athens by Raphael. Raphael's over here. But there's that enigmatic woman in the white dress over here. I'm saying that's fucking Raphael. That's Rapunzel. That's St. Agnes. Alive 1,000 years later. I'm just working on it. Rapunzel changed her name and became Raphael. So they say she painted what she could not tell. A picture's worth 1,000 words, so she paints, she paints, she paints. Story fit for saints, for Satan, glory in the future, found another way. She lived to run another day, run away. The Medicis had found a cause, a receptacle for money paid, so they paid. They paid the bills and paved the roads, but Nicholas paved the way. That's as far as I've gotten. But I like it. Hope you're having a good day.